Hey guys, Sean Zine, the Connection Machine, aka the Insurance Doc. Another day, another video, another collaboration. This is the key to growth, guys, helping others go to the next level, teaching, educating, sharing stories of their past trials and tribulations. So we're going to go down the path and have good friends of mine that I've done some collaborations in the past. I haven't talked to in a while. And then I just did one recently. So you're going to see a repeat in the last couple weeks and some new face. We're going to have an awesome conversation. Let me bring on Michael Carvajal and Dan. It's Mueller or Mueller? I always jack
Mueller.
It up, right?
It's all right. Whatever you want. Just don't call me late for supper, you know?
Let me change this up. I want to have, hold on one second. Right here. Boom. So there we go. We look good now.
Excellent.
So as we always start, guys, whoever's watching, please drop a comment. Hashtag live on the live, hashtag replay on the replay. If you have questions, drop them there. We would get back to you after this live because we want to provide as much value as possible. Let's start with Dan and then Mike. Introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So Dan Mueller, or Mueller for those of you who don't want to go with Mueller. I am a financial advisor with Podell Financial Group. We are a fee-based financial advisory shop. So we specialize in, insurance planning, asset management, retirement planning. And then we do have a focus working on tax strategy with business owners. So setting up custom qualified plans, helping business owners hopefully mitigate their largest business expense, which is always, in fact, taxes.
Thanks for being with us, man. I haven't seen you in a while. This is going to be fantastic to collaborate. Mike, all you, buddy.
You guys know who I am. My name is Mortgage Mike Carvajal. I am a loan officer with Equity Prime Mortgage. Been doing mortgage banking 22 years. I am a trained mortgage advisor. I'm an advocate for my clients, specializing in residential properties, purchases, refinances, as well as home equity conversion mortgages for senior citizens. We're going to talk a little bit about that on today's call. Sean, thanks for having me. Super excited to be here with you, gentlemen. Spring has sprung, and it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day.
Definitely is. Definitely is. And for those that are friends with Mike, those that are friends with Dan, I am the insurance doctor. I go by the Connection Machine, aka the Insurance Doctor, because I believe anyone could do insurance, but if I can help you grow your business, that's a huge value add. And anyone could do P&C, I think, home, auto, flood, but it's something that I'm here to understand and teach and give value. That's why I brought my buddies here, because I know we could all collaborate and help our client out. And we had some great conversation before we went live. I wanted to start with Dan. Let's go into how are you focused right now in 2023 for developing business?
Yeah, so a big part of where my practice's focuses is truly around working with the business owner. So we're not just looking at their profits and loss or things like that. We're really looking at holistically planning with them. So everything from what are their insurance needs, whether it's life, employee benefits, things like that. And then, like I had mentioned at the start of the show, we focus on tax mitigation for them using different qualified plans.
It's something that you're developing relationships. And before we even, continue on, I want to make sure we all... This is why, I love this, man. We're like a TV show, right? We got to make sure we're building relationships. And that's why when Dan's talking to clients, we're always trying to think about how else we could help them. And that leads into, like, Dan might be talking to someone on life insurance, and he'll be like, hey, what about a mortgage? Do you own or do you rent? And he goes into Mike's conversation, and then he might go into the homeowner conversation. So I want to go back and go over to Mike. What are some things that you're working with financial advisors to help their clients out?
That's a really good question, Sean. So again, I've been 22 years in the business. Prior to that, I worked at Merrill Lynch. I was a registered client associate, had my 7 and my 66. So I do have my background in finance. And that's why Dan and myself work well together, because again, he's an advocate for his clients regarding their financial plan, right? What is their hopes, their dreams? What is their future? What is their legacy for their kids and for their grandkids? And I help control the biggest debt that they have, right? Even if you drive a Range Rover, I said it on the last thing that we did. Your house is worth more than a Range Rover. The biggest debt that Americans have today is really their mortgage, right? The equity in their home has risen substantially over the last couple of years. And how Dan and I work together is, Dan is normally the person that sees them first, looks at their financial situation, determines, look, is there a need for liquidity? How can he allow them the insurance that they want, the long-term care policy that they want, being able to fund their IRAs or their SEP accounts, all of these different things that he knows and is trained to look for. And that's where he brings me in. A funny anecdote, my wife says I'm a tool. I am a tool in his toolbox, right? So he uses my ability for mortgage planning and advocacy to help his clients move forward down the line. I also help with reverse mortgages. So many seniors today, unfortunately, again, my mom, your mom, everybody's parents and grandparents have been really squeezed due to inflation. Fixed income ain't going up as much as inflation, right? The Fed's still talking about inflation being too high. If any of us have been to the grocery store in the last year, go buy a quart of milk, go buy some eggs. It's more expensive than it's ever been. Gasoline in your car is more expensive than it's ever been. So that's where I kind of come in, right? I'm the keeper of financial liquidity. And what my job is to do is to work, jointly with Dan and also with you, Sean. And that's where, bringing it to you as well, going over their homeowners insurance, going over their flood policy if they have a flood policy, making sure that one, they're adequately insured, and two, are there cracks in the cement that we can find to save them money? Because maybe I can save them $500 a month on their outflow, and maybe you can save them another $100 or $150 on their insurance. All of a sudden, we have close to $1,000 of net income that they can do things with, and Dan can help with legacy. That Dan can help with providing long-term care for themselves, or funding that IRA or that life insurance policy.
It's all that found money.
Yes, that they said they just couldn't pay for now.
Right. Exactly.
But Dan,
it's important now, especially
back.
How crazy the markets have been. Who wants to be liquidating portfolio? Yeah, see, Sean. Who wants to be liquidating, positions in their portfolio when the market's down 15, 20%? So
yeah, absolutely.
It's always so valuable to be able to pick up the phone and call a guy like Mike and say, hey, I have a client. We have, looks like $500,000 of equity in their home. What can we do?
Well, absolutely. And again, you're able to get up to a $10,000 annual tax deduction on your taxes that you pay and your mortgage interest on a primary residence. So some of these folks, depending on where they live, their taxes might not be 10 grand a year. They may not have a mortgage outstanding, and they might be in a liquidity position, much like Sean Ziem, because he keeps making babies. Sean Ziem could be in a liquidity position because we need to buy him a television. He can't keep his hands off his old lady, and I respect that. And, there's just, it's growing families out here, guys. So, Sean, let's give the cameo to your little man.
Yeah, the star of the show is here.
What's going on? This is Alexander. Say hi.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, pal.
Must have just woken from his nap, huh?
He just was screaming. We had to wake him up, and it's all about, like you guys were saying, I'm stopping. He's the last and final Ziem. That's going to be happening.
Famous last words.
Yeah, right.
Legacy. I want to make sure he will be taken care of. My daughters are all taken care of. And it's important to plan for that. It's to, lay the groundwork for them so that when they're older, or God forbid, so I'm gone, they'll still be able to do what they can and want to. Right?
Yeah. I mean, a good analogy I always use is, your financial advisor sits at the head of a table, and that table is called your financial advocates. And next to him, you need a mortgage planner.
Yep.
You need
insurance.
Insurance that knows what they're doing, not just a part-timer. Sean Ziem is time tested and true. The guy's been doing it 20 years. Let's face it, he's the insurance doctor, right? He knows that end of the market, and he's specialized in that. right? You know, we could do it all. I could be a plumber, a doctor, a lawyer, a CPA, a financial advisor, but really, how good would I be? And unfortunately, there's a lot of people in our industry that are just trying to do it all. And you just can't be effective. It's like watered down. If anybody's ever been out to the bar and had a watered down drink, it just doesn't give you the same feeling as something that is straight and to the point. And that's why we're doing these videos, guys, to help educate and to, you know, provide some guidance for folks that really need it. You know, again, Dan, you being at the head of the table, if you can just, you know, give us some more insight.
I think you kind of nailed it. We always have a view, at least in my firm, that, you know, you want to work with professionals who are specialized in their field and they know their craft, and that's their focus, right? Because sure, there's the ability to wear, you know, many different hats and sort of do a lot of different jobs at once. But our concern is always the quality of work. When, you know, maybe you have a PNC guy like Sean, like yourself, but he's also doing financial advisory work, or he's doing, you know, something else on the side. And you got to just wonder, you know, is he doing the best work possible for me?
Sure.
Because he's being pulled in so many different directions, right? It's never something out of malice, but it's just purely like bandwidth, right?
Look, some larger institutions, and I don't need to bring up their names, but we've all seen them. They spoke before Congress. You know, they had too many things out there. They wanted your checking account, your SEP account, your mortgage, your insurance, everything under the sun, and it just doesn't work. Much like AI, artificial intelligence, just doesn't work. You know, you can't you can't do your finances on an app. Your app can't tell you the right way for you to invest your money.
There is something to be said about the human connection, right? Where I could pick up the phone and I could call Mike because my client has a question about rates, or, hey, here's a very unique situation, which, you know, as a mortgage magician, I'm sure you get them all the time, right?
Absolutely.
Hey, you got a unique situation. I have 5 streams of income, but maybe some of it's 1099, some of it's W-2. Do I qualify?
Sure.
Stuff comes up all the time. And especially when you're working with, you know, in my world, folks who own businesses and they have multiple income streams.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that from like a Rocket Mortgage.
Again, you said it, not me, but I can tell you, I worked with a gentleman this morning that has 19 business entities, 19, which means I got to get 19 business tax returns. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get on the phone with his CPA. I'm going to do the heavy lifting. And that's also another, you know, touch point for me. We're all networks, right? Why wouldn't I call the CPA? Hopefully I can work with him because he sees I'm an actual mortgage planner and just, you know, not some hammer working in a cold call center. Yeah. Same as what you guys do. I mean, that's why, again, we're on the call today to promote advocacy. An advocate's a person who speaks for people who can't speak eloquently about whatever topic it is. When I go to get shoes and I'm at Foot Locker, I'm going to take that dude's advice. If I'm looking about finance and what I'm going to do for my family and long term, I'm going to talk to Dan. If I'm going to talk to anyone about insurance, flood and homeowners, it's going to be Sean. These are the things that, look, the human spirit is here. It's never going to go away. And that's part of the reason that we're, again, out on the streets today, shouting from the rooftops that it's all about, you know, the human part of what we do, right, and to work with a team. And I can't stress that enough.
I know a lot of you that are watching like to go and, you know, go online and do some research, and online is not going to give you any, they don't care about like what's the best interest of you. It's the cheap, and cheap on anything going to be the right coverage for whatever you're looking for. When we're having these conversations, we're always looking to, you know, help the client move any direction in that conversation. So I'm doing the same thing. This is a lead general, guys. Whoever is watching, if you're a mortgage professional, financial advisor, insurance professional, you're like, well, how do I get leads? Well, every phone call you have, I call it a connection call. You're finding out pain points. You're finding out things that are happening in someone's life that you can help and solve a problem. And it might be a mortgage, it might be life insurance, long-term care. Mm-hmm. And that's where you have, I have a girl, and you recommend them in a text message or an email introduction so that it's a seamless recommendation or introduction that you can move to the next person. So it's not always a sales call. You're going to close whatever you're selling. It could be just connecting someone else, which will come back to you because we're all in this together.
Yeah, 100%. I always say a recommendation is a direct representation of the person that gave you the recommendation. So, folks, if you're looking for leads, quit looking online, trying to buy leads. Just go out and be a good person. Go out to your community, be involved, reach out to other people, reach out to other advocates like yourself, feel them out. Not everybody's like Dan, Sean, and Mike. Again, there's some hammers out there, but that's why we're successful and they're not. So, you might need to do some due diligence, but look, we're all here for you. That's why, Sean, can't thank you enough for these connection calls because, again, we're screaming from the rooftops. AI doesn't work. It just doesn't. And, to think that you can just go online and have someone, care about you, I'm sorry, you're wrong. I can tell.
Yeah, it's not going to work. You're going to end up getting something you don't want or not understanding it. Or, in my world, the big thing is service.
Yeah.
Right. Because you could call 1-800-INSURANCE, right, and get a policy issued, and it's great. But then when you need to talk to somebody about it, or you have questions about it, or there's pieces of your contract that you don't understand, good luck getting a hold of somebody.
Dan, I know that there were some new things that you had regarding taxes and saving people money on taxes. Can you elaborate a little bit about a couple of those things that you've been doing? Because I just worked on some cases with you, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but some of the stuff really wowed me.
So our focus, again, we do fee-based planning, we do insurance, we do asset management, we do all of the things any typical advisor does. But our group specializes in setting up, custom qualified plans. So a qualified plan, your 401s, your SEP IRAs, cash balance, defined benefit. So we realized quickly that there's not many voices in this space that know it, that work in it, that understand it. But we're able to save business owners, through our work, hundreds of thousands of dollars annually on their taxes. And they're using those monies and they're funding retirement accounts with it.
So again, I'm a layman's term kind of guy. Put your money back into your business and don't pay the government, and then
you're paying yourself.
That's amazing. That's what I took from it. I mean,
a business's largest expense is their taxes, right?
Yeah.
You're sending 30, 40, 50% of your profit out the door to the treasury. Well, we step in and we say, well, can we save a quarter million of it? Can we save half of it? And hopefully, we mitigate your liability lower, and, hopefully we could put you into a lower bracket.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So it's our specialization. It's really what we focus on, but it also always ends up tying back into the personal stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So, we're working with the business owner. We just saved them a bunch on taxes. Well, and now it's, hey, well, let's look at some personal planning, right? I just bought a house. Who can you refer me over to? Because I have all this liquidity in my house. I need to get it out because I want to buy some more equipment or whatever.
Sure.
So, guys like Mike are always on the speed dial.
Right.
Anytime a home situation comes up, because I stay in my lane. I know how to plan, I know how to invest. I know how to do insurance work. But when it comes to mortgages, I'm just going to defer right to the expert.
So, Dan, has your business changed? Do you meet with everyone face to face, or are you how is your business set up right now?
So we're pretty much all virtual at this point. I do get together, if a client really wants to grab a bite or get together in person, like we still have the offices, we're always happy to. But our sort of experience as of late has been everybody prefers just to jump on Zoom. You can get in, you get out, 15, 20 minutes, you handle what you have to, and your day doesn't really miss a beat. So I would say we're probably 80% virtual for everything at this point. 20%, you're getting in person, because some people still want to sit at the table with you.
I can vouch for that. It's the same with me. It's probably closer to 90% for me, virtual, 10% in person. But look, I'm born and raised in the area that I live. I live in the Long Beach Island area. I was born and raised in Beach Haven. And, some of the folks like that hometown feel, right? They like to see this mustache,
I
up
was
close,
gonna say, who doesn't?
glistening. They love to see this thing. They want to shake my hand. They want to see who I am. So I have some clients today that are just dropping off documents because they're helping their grandparents. So their grandparents are refinancing. They're not tech savvy. So it's like, you got to bend. And that's, again, why we're all on this call today is to be here for our clients and our friends and family. But yeah, we do have the office. If you want to drop by to meet Dan, to meet Sean, to meet Mike, you can. Or we can do it even faster via the World Wide Web.
I found, honestly, doing this type of thing, a collaboration, people get to see you, they can hear you. It's everything but just, be able to touch the person. You can get everything, your knowledge, content, to whoever you're speaking to. My big thing was like networking, right? You go to a coffee and you go to, not Dunkin', Starbucks or Panera Bread, you drive there, and all of a sudden you get a call as you're just about parking. Hey man, I'm not gonna be able to make it now. It's like, holy shit, I just wasted whatever, 15, half hour, an hour to drive somewhere. Now I gotta go back. And it's like, I can just hop on. All right, someone, something happened, jump on another Zoom, a StreamYard or whatever, and continue growing my business rather than shit, I'm gonna be in the car for X amount of time. And now what do I do? What do I do now?
Oh man, I remember when I first started out in the industry 12 years ago or so. Yeah, 12 years just about. I was up in Manhattan and you used to have to get on the subway, schlep across the city. You get to somebody's building, you go through security, and then you get to their floor and you find out, Joe can't make the meeting today.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, got an hour and a half back across the city. So, there is something to be said about just being able to jump on, see each other face to face, get everything accomplished, and then, get on with your day.
I mean, that's the goal, right? Is to getting everything across, picking up your phone when someone calls you. Maybe I'm honest with everyone. If you call me, if you're in my phone, your name comes up. If you're in and you call me and it doesn't come up, I don't answer. You go right to my voicemail, and it's always going to be open. That voicemail is always clear. It's going to be there for you to leave a voicemail. If you leave me a voicemail, I'll call you back. If you don't, it wasn't worth it for you to leave a voicemail. I'm not calling you back. So be a relationship in my phone. I always, unless I'm with, like, if I'm with this guy or my family, or if I'm doing, even when I'm doing something, I'm like, yo, Carver, what's going on, dude? I'm doing whatever. Yeah. Can I call you back? And yeah, man, no problem. Because we get it as far as family.
Yeah. I'm the top loan officer of Equity Prime Mortgage, and I have calls with loan officers, and, they're like, well, how do you do it? And it's like, and this, I think this holds for any industry. It's the land, the sea, and the air. So it's doing your online stuff that we're doing right now. It's doing your networking face to face, belly to belly, and it's making your calls kind of most importantly. So there's no magic pill. I'm very successful in what I've been doing for the last couple of decades, and it's nothing that anybody else can do. It's just, you gotta one, have a passion for what you're doing. Two, so there's 3 H's, right? Stay hungry, stay humble, stay honest. Hungry will keep you going. Humble will keep you from being a jerk, and honest will keep you out of jail. Those are the 3 things. You do that,
you want to avoid jail at all costs, man.
You do that, dude, and you can live to fight another day, even if you lose that deal. So whatever industry people that are listening to this podcast are on, again, just 3 things: stay hungry, stay humble, stay honest, and just repeat and repeat and repeat.
Cool.
And then find people like advocates that you can work with, like everybody on this call today.
And then, I got a boogie in a couple of minutes, Mike and Sean, but I wanted to bring up, Mike, you and I have been working on an interesting case revolving around, doing a cash out refi. And the reason we're looking at it is to help our client cover some long-term care costs, which not a lot of people, it's not a very popular concept. I do think over the next couple of years, it's going to become more and more popular as the baby boomer generation sort of starts needing more and more long-term care. But I just thought, why don't we just kind of review it real quick, leave our viewers with, here's an interesting strategy, here's something to think about. Because I guarantee there's people that are going to see this and say, oh, that that sounds like a client of mine. Maybe I can help him with that.
No doubt.
So, I mean, I could kind of tee it up for you, Mike, but I have a client, they're in their 60s. They want to fund some long-term care, and we had gotten together for, our annual review, and they don't have a ton of free capital, right? They do well. But long-term care policies, once you get into your late 50s, 60s, are they get pretty expensive, which is why, I always encourage have that discussion, late 40s, early 50s with your advisor. But either way, so clients, we got together, they had that care need. I want to get some long-term care, and they own their house outright, right? They paid off. They have a ton of equity inside of it, probably $700,000-800,000. And I thought to refer them to you to say, hey, what can we do with this? Here's the situation. We're looking to generate some income in perpetuity. What can we do on the mortgage side of things?
Well, yeah, thanks, Dan. And what we did was we gave them a home equity conversion mortgage, the old school reverse mortgage. We were able to provide them with, in their case, we lent them about half. It's an actuary math. So we lent them about half of what their house was worth. And what they were able to do was take that liquidity and front load their policy so that now they're taken care of. They have a long-term care policy for each of them. Again, their kids don't have to worry about what is mom and dad going to do if they need help in the future, which, look, I'm 45 years old. I figure I probably am at the halfway point. I got another 45 in front of me, and I have 45 behind me. At the end of the day, somebody's going to have to take care of me. Somebody's going to have to take care of this mustache one of these days.
Ain't gonna care yourself.
So that's something that we did. And most mortgage planners aren't well-versed enough to know how to even go through that strategy, or financial advisors. It's a very faux pas type topic, but as long as you do it compliantly with the client's interest in mind and conservatively, and they understand everything that they're doing, which of course Dan and I did up front, it's a home run. The people don't have a mortgage payment and they're able to get a long-term care policy. We have some other clients that weren't in their 60s and they needed some liquidity and they've been drawing down on their assets. So we did a cash out refinance, consolidated some debt, freed up money for them, and gave them additional liquidity. So what? They didn't have to draw off their assets in the down market. This market is insane. And their plan is to actually, when things get easier, they're going to pay back the money that they borrowed from us. Again, a teeter-totter. They have all this equity in their house, but their stocks went down and they're in a fixed income situation. The husband just retired, took an early retirement, and they want to have a nice life. They want to enjoy themselves, but they came to Dan and myself and said, something's got to give with inflation and all the other stuff. What can we do? We were able to consolidate the other debts that they have, put them in one fixed end 30-year loan. And they were able to, again, not have to draw off these assets and let those assets continue to stay in their IRA and grow. And that's huge. So yeah, Dan, thank you for
of course. So I guess I'll end with this. Like I always find value in working with, on the PNC, Sean, guys like yourself. It's always great to have you a phone call away when we have clients like purchasing new homes, or hey, I'm trying to find some found money. We're trying to find money because I got to fund something. PNC is always an easy spot to look. And then, Mike and I are on the phone probably too much, talking, different situations. What do you think? Spitballing. And it's always awesome to have, trusted advisors a phone call away to talk through things and help your clients out. So I appreciate both of you boys.
Right on. No, I appreciate you. And Mike, stay with me for a minute. Those that are watching, don't forget, look at the description of this video. Content information is all there. Dan's as well. Connect with them. Ask them questions. To the next one, guys. Have yourself an awesome day.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Later, gents.